Hey everyone, James here from JVC Paints. Welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a World War II project that I'm dying to show you guys. This is the Bulgarian army for Bolt Action. It's a 1,000 point army. I do other stuff on the channel, but World War II is my main painting and gaming jam. So this is kind of a special one too. This is the last Axis National Belligerent Army that I've had to do for my project of doing a World War II 28mm army for every belligerent nation in World War II. And I think this is about the 43rd or 44th army that I've painted for Bolt Action for myself and for some friends. What we're going to do from here is I'm going to take a look at this 1,000 point army. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to have all the stats of the units up at the bottom and just go over a brief history of Bulgaria and World War II. If I do any mistakes in the math or I get the history messed up, please let me know in the comments below. If you have any suggestions, anything that you think I could have done better or changed or whatever, you just put those in those comments below. So, all right, guys, let's take a look at this army, man.
If one were to rate the Axis powers in a ranked tier system based on the metrics of military involvement, material development, wartime economy, Bulgaria would find themselves lingering at the bottom, jockeying with Vichy France for last place. When I refer to the Axis here, I'm referring to the Axis in Europe, excluding Asia, and any allies the Japanese might have collected in their adventures. As such, Bulgaria isn't one of the go-to nations for World War II wargaming. It doesn't have its own associated theater with critical battles or particularly cool equipment. I mean, Warlord isn't trying to flog a 20-pound Bulgarian dice bag now, are they? Historically, Bulgaria during the war period is unique when compared to the other Axis powers. Politically, Bulgaria remained neutral until March 1, 1941, when King Boris III's government signed the Tripartite Pact. It remained a German ally until September 8, 1944, the day when the Soviets invaded Bulgaria. Bulgaria changed sides the next day. Unlike other Axis powers which participated in action on the Eastern Front like Finland, Italy, Hungary, and Romania, Bulgaria resisted pressure from Berlin to invade the Soviet Union. Bulgaria's military operations were closer to home and exclusively in the Balkans. The Bulgarian army occupied conquered Yugoslavia in mid-April 1941 and began the occupation of Greece the same day that Greece capitulated on April 30th, 1941. Another aspect of the Bulgarian military's scope of operations during their garrisoning of the Balkans was battling various anti-Axis resistance groups and partisans, such as Tito's partisans in Yugoslavia. They were also involved in domestic operations against pro-communist elements and saboteurs. As an early war force, the Bulgarians are pretty good. They're solid. They could go up against any other early war army, I reckon. Late war, they would have a lot of problems. They would need the German extra unit as their special rule to make them a little bit more competitive. I think in a tournament you would get completely mashed because you're going to come across, the Soviet veteran engineers in armor that would just go through a section of these guys instantly. I think a fun balanced game would be the Bulgarians versus Greeks. Nice C or D tier division game of Bolt Action. Might make a good battle report. What do you think? Let me know. If you got any other battle report suggestions, throw them down below.
The figures are all from Great Escape Games. There's a link to their webpage below for your convenience. You've seen the photos of the units all done up. So I've taken a sample of the guys from the army to talk a little bit more about the painting and the basing specifically. Before I start that, though, honestly, I've got to say the sculpts for this army are pretty hit and miss. The hits for me are definitely the officer, his buddy, this rifleman here, the two LMGs, this guy and this guy, as well as the sniper team. Their helmets are pretty consistent. The weapons are pretty consistent. The rifles are pretty good. All the weapons are really good. But I would say that there are inconsistencies and just some odd things. So let's just put this guy front and center. The hand grenades on these guys. This guy's chucking one. They have them on their belts. They look like these large, oversized novelty karaoke microphones. That's one thing. The guys in the forge caps. Some of them, not all of them, but quite a few of them. They've got these gigantic cigarette pack-sized mutton chop sideburns that are like 1977 Star Wars Imperial Officer London chic hairstyles, which I don't know how popular they were in Bulgaria in the 40s. I guess maybe it's just the barber in this platoon, maybe? I don't know. But anatomically, they're okay. There was no bow legs or orangutan arms or anything crazy like that. But there are places where you can see the putty in the back wasn't really smoothed over, and there's one case that the fingerprint was like in the mold when I was cleaning them. I noticed that on one guy it was on his elbow. I was kind of shocked. But so compared to the Dead Man's Hand figures that are sold by Great Escapes, these ones are definitely not as good. The figures do paint up quite quickly. You can probably do 10 of these guys in a sitting, I would say. There's not a lot of colors. What I did is I primed them all mahogany brown. I gave them a 50-50 wash of dark brown and water. That dried, did the flesh, got into the uniforms. The uniforms, I just started the highlights right on top of that base. That was a burnt sienna, and then a mixture of burnt sienna and a honey brown, which is kind of a light browny, orangey, yellowy color. And then I then after that I did all the baggage and things like that. Let's just use this LMG guy here. We've got his bag here, and we've got a gas mask there, and the canteen as well. I gave them sort of like a light greeny, moldy, light greeny color. And then I gave them a highlight, and then when all of that was done, the belts, everything, I just did all the figures again in a brown wash, and then I went back and did that last highlight again. The leather was maroon, and then I just did an edge highlight of burnt sienna on these guys. Can't really see it maybe on that guy, but maybe well, on the officer, I think we can see it a little bit better there, that leather. After the wash, all that stuff, I would go in and I would do the weapons, the metal on the weapons, which I just did black, highlighted with blue, as were the boots. The details are pretty scant, like buttons and buckles and things like that, but I just did them in white. The national helmet shield, which I'll just turn in. I think you can see them on a few of these guys here, these two particularly. Yeah, just it was a white shield. Did a red stripe on the right side, then I did a green diagonal stripe. The basing and stuff like that, we've done. It was just sand. I've used tufts, as you can see. And some static grass, and then I also did some leaves as well. And for the leaves, I used this thing here. This is a Green Stuff World leaf cutter. So I just took some dried leaves out of the garden and put them on there. All right, let's take a look at some of the bigger ticket items in the Army. The base for the medium howitzer proxy is made of plastic card. I magnetized the main gun, and what I've done on the base here is I've made it so each member of the crew has their own lipped place around the gun. They're exactly 1 inch apart because I'm very, very beardy. I know it is kind of beardy, but this is against template weapons. So come on, guys. It's not like it's magical 14-inch submachine guns here. It's within the rules. Just playing the rules. So I wanted the vehicles. I've got 2 vehicles. I wanted the vehicles to look a little bit special, a little bit different to liven up the Army because the figures themselves are kind of just so bland with just browns mostly. These are both Tamiya 148th kits. This one here, I should stop. Whoops, this is the 3rd Panzer T-38 I've done. And the STKFZ 222 8-rod here. I think this is the 3rd or 4th one I've done of that as well. Both kits went together really well for me with very, very minimal problems. For the painting of these vehicles, what I did is I primed them black, and then I gave them a coat of Tamiya German gray, and then I gave them a coat of hairspray, and after that I blasted on some dark yellow. And then I used the hairspray technique, and I got the paint off, so it kind of exposed the gray paint below. So the idea was that the Bulgarians would have these sort of refurbished, Eastern Front vehicles that maybe around the 1942-43 period, is when they would get it. Following the scant online reference I could find, I did up the markings the best that I could. You can see here it's basically a white square with a black cross. I put a number on it here, and of course what I did as well, I'll just tilt the camera this way, I put a Air Force recognition flag on the back of the antenna. So I just did that to sort of make it a little bit more interesting. Same thing over here with the Panzer III T-38. I just put the little skull and crossbones motif I saw online, and then the marking here and the number, and then it had a little pennant, and I thought, oh, the little pennant's kind of cool on the antenna. I'll definitely put that on there. Did the crews as well. The crews were a lot of fun. The uniforms I just kind of made up. I went with the German uniforms and kind of made them Bulgarian, I guess you could say. It's just something I thought that these guys might be wearing around that time. And guys, well, that's the Army. So I hope you enjoyed it, and maybe you found it worthwhile and interesting. Let me know down below. If you've gotten this far, give us a thumbs up to help the channel grow. And thanks for driving by and checking my painting out today. And have a great weekend. And yeah, keep those brushes moving. Bye-bye. Sayonara.